Randy Chavez. Today, I am coming at you with something that was kind of requested on my other live streams. This has nothing to do with financial anything. In fact, I am going to be drinking a daddy soda and thus cannot give any advice whatsoever. Now, if 3 people watch this, I do not care. What I'm going to do is going to be talking about stories and weird stuff that I've found out through life, like glitches in the Matrix, like any type of thing that I find weird, like Bigfoot. My first experience with a ghost, which is going to be 20. Some of you might have heard this story before, some of you have not. And I'm going to go, and again, zero finances in this, no finance. It's all about getting weird. I do not know how much more time I have left on this earth, but like Frank Reynolds, I'm gonna get real weird with it. Now, the first time I saw a ghost was 2011. Me and my friend Patty were gonna go visit her then partner. They weren't like married or anything. They were just dating, and they're out in the fields of Ohio near like the Tiffin, Gibsonburg area. And guess what we saw? We go and we look at her. We visit her friend's parents' house. That's where we stayed. Her dad was a truck driver. I'm not sure what her mom did. Her sister was like a weird 15-year-old, but that's beside the point. Outside of that, we're going to a concert, and we go one night to visit their parents' barn. They were building a house outside of their barn. And outside of their barn, or behind the barn, in fields of Ohio, there's nothing but fields and roads, and that is it. There is nothing else in that state. Sure, it has Cincinnati, sure, it has Cleveland, but we were not there. That is not where we were residing. We were residing in the middle of bumble-fudge nowhere. And mind you, it's not like middle of bumble-fudge nowhere in 2021 when you can get some high-speed internet. It's like, no. This was when internet was barely even a thing. This was when the internet was not in its infancy, but YouTube was only a few years old. YouTube was only there starting in 2007, and this was 2011. And what was happening in 2011 was I was in full-on conspiracy mode. I was not exactly full Alex Jones anymore, but I was a little like, you know what? Sometimes, and clearly, I should be putting money into the Alex Jones was right jar, because oh my God, that man has been correct. That man is like the Simpsons, just right about everything, just 20 years too early. Anyway, so we're there, and we're getting there at dusk, where the sun is about to set. We make a campfire. I'm in fabulous flannel. I look amazing. And we go, and I'm not drinking. They are drinking. The fire was not doing a thing. The fire was not being lit. So we get some fire starter, and oh my God, that went really, really high. So what we see as the sun goes down and we're doing the old camping thing, roasted marshmallows, avast these shipmates, we see a light shining down. It looks like it's shining down on top of, there was an old school that was abandoned at the time, and it's torn down now, but it was abandoned. And I was like, what is that light on top of there? And they're just like, probably a ghost. And I was like, no, it's not. Like you messing with me? What? Because I'm from New York, and but Maddie was from New York too. And then no, we're just learning about Randy here today. No, and I'll get to comments in a minute. This is not finance video. This is a weird Randy video for those that had requested it this morning. And also me drinking some daddy sodas. You want some, Dashi? No, you're protecting. He's on duty. He's protecting the house. So they're like, don't go over there. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's just like, I don't, it's a light. And like, yes, it's probably a ghost. We see it all the time when we're Skyping, because back then there was no FaceTime, there was no Snapchat. It was Skype and like Uvu. Like, that's all you had. And maybe Omegle when you wanted to see random dudes' genitals. Not that you wanted to do that. This just happened to be what you see. You click on Omegle enough, or chat roulette, that's what you're going to see. So go on, and I disobey their orders because they were much smaller than me. And I was like, I am not going to be told what to do. I'm going to go. A few years later, I joined the military. I was told what to do every day. So I go, and I'm running, and I just walk. And then I see it's not just a light. It's a dress. Is this science? Is this science, like that meme? And what I'm doing is that I'm thinking like that girl, like, calculations in her head. How is the dress floating? It looks like Pirates of the Caribbean, where Keira Knightley is dangling a dress on board to make the shipmates think that there's a ghost. And I was like, wires, magnets, how do they work? So I'm sitting there thinking, like, what is that? So I get to the front of the yard, past the barn, past the front yard of the house, and there's a woman in the dress. She looks like Lady Galadriel or Kate Blanchett from Lord of the Rings, where she says, "You will never have dark, Lord, you shall have a queen." And I was like, whoa, like she's really tall. I'm talking about uber tall, like 8 feet tall, 10 feet tall, but she's dancing. And then I get across the road, and she's like see-through, kind of transparent. You could tell she's there, kind of like Casper. And I get to the other side of the road, and then she stops and looks at me with piercing red eyes, and I was like, ugh. I was frozen for I don't know how long, but you couldn't hear anything. I couldn't even hear my friends that were like a couple hundred yards, like talking, laughing, whatever. Thankfully, there were no cars coming because I would have died. So I'm slowly, and then as I'm walking back, eventually she stops staring at me and goes back to dancing. And finally, I feel like I can breathe again. Like, and then afterwards, as soon as I get back, I feel grass under my feet because I was not taking my eyes off her. I feel grass on my feet and not concrete anymore, so I knew I'm on their property. I Naruto run, not really, but I go as fast as I can. I was like, and I could not form words. I was like a child that was on Demerol. The pregnant ladies are on Demerol. I don't know why children are on Demerol. And I was like, that was that. But see, we told you, we heckin' told you. I was like, yes, you did tell me, and I just did not want to listen. So that was my first experience with a ghost. I'm gonna get into comments right now. Comments on what type of stories you want to hear from me. Oh, what up, Just F? All the way. First, no tiles, no finance talk. I'm gonna be going live tonight at 10:15 Eastern Standard Time after Guidebook Gaming. What's up, Venice? Hey, Richard Kiner. I've never seen a ghost, but I've seen a UFO. That is interesting. The Navy or the government has just confirmed that videos from like 2 years ago. Like, yeah, that wasn't us. Unidentified flying objects. That doesn't necessarily mean aliens, but I'm pretty sure they're aliens. Anyway. What up, RH? Penis 15 says, oh, she's, we at it again. The Rambo Randy. Thank you, Legacy. Phoenix 15 says, yeah, now we're just learning about me. Just Randy for now. Nice. Hello, Lynn X. Good day, brother from another mother. Good day, Ty Anderson. Our dog, thank you, Cool Sheet. So, one of the other things I think, and this was when I was listening to Lucy in the Sky with Diamond, and I was talking with my girlfriend, and I was just in I was thinking so clearly, or differently, I should say. And I was thinking like, okay, well, we were saying like, how can we help save the world? Like, we had one character, one person that we could create that could change the world. What would it be? And her suggestion was like a Captain America type of person. I was like, oh yeah, that could be cool. But I kind of tried that. I was in the military, and I maybe changed a couple people's lives. It didn't, not something like, how do you change this many people's lives? And like, well, Elon Musk is doing a really good job. I mean, he's really shining a light on people that never really had a voice before, like, nerds, like people that are into Comic-Con, that like Star Wars, that, people like me. So I was thinking that, okay, well, if he's someone that changed the world, not without trying, he tried a whole lot, but he did it because of his intelligence. He did, like, yeah, he's a little funny, but he's not someone that actively like tries to write the joke, like Joe Rogan or Steve Martin. They're not just thinking about jokes all the time. They're just funny just because he's funny. And I was like, okay, well, what are some of his thoughts? And his concerns were mine about the singularity. And the singularity, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's that let's say we create an AI and we put it into a robot, and this robot, his main programming is to just make paper clips. And because it's AI, it's going to be inventive about different ways to make paper clips. Could make paper clips from other paper clips, make them bigger, make them smaller, make stuff from tin cans, because, again, doesn't have to worry about cutting himself because he's a robot. And he thinks, okay, well, what's the most efficient way to make paper clips? As many paper clips as I can is to build another robot that can make paper clips faster, knowing he'll become obsolete. And how can he do that? Well, he's going to have to go and say, well, all right, well, in order to go, I need parts, I need computers. I can't be interrupted with my work because I need to be efficient. And at some point, that robot's going to think, well, humans can shut me down, and if they shut me down, I can't make more paper clips. So we should probably get rid of humans. And again, that's out of the I don't know how many trillions of, infinity amount of scenarios that could happen. It's that you don't know how likely that is. It could be one out of those trillion. It could be several of those where they think, okay, well, we could make paper clips out of humans. If there's no more material left on Earth, we use animals, we use beings, we use humans, because humans are the only thing that could stop them. And that's something that's scary. That's something that people don't think about that. Like, if anyone's seen the movie Trainwreck, it's really funny. It's with John Cena and Amy Sherman, not Amy Sherman Palladino, Amy, whatever her name was. She's not Fat Amy, not that one. But they go and she's like, a popular girl. She's, works in fashion or whatever, and she wants to marry a guy with money, and she wants to have kids or whatever. She's really, really into like the Chad lifestyle, like wants to just go out and have fun. Not if she is educated, it's not about physics or science. It's just like, oh, I got educated in marketing and fashion and worrying about people, and which is typical for women. Men are more interested in things, like cars or electronics, STEM fields, and women are more interested in people, like not technology, like marketing or psychology or psychiatry, nursing, that type of thing, infant childcare. And when she goes to like her sister's house or something, and then her kid is like us. Her kid's like a nerd. Her kid's into like black holes and string theory and dark matter, and the kid's like 11, and she's talking, asking him something. He's like, well, actually, she's like, what have you been up to? He's like, oh, I've been reading, watching videos on dark matter and how it could, affect string theory and all that. And as a joke, this girl's like, huh? Like, the way the movie portrayed it was that kid is weird, and that kid's not gonna never gonna get a girl. That kid's never gonna he's gonna be socially awkward his whole life. And she's like, and the joke was, well, at least my kids won't be like that type of thing. And I think that's very wrong, because it's those types of people, like the Elon Musk type of people, and those types of people that are okay, well, nobody else is thinking about these problems, so we should probably have other people thinking about these problems. And not that I'm comparing myself to Elon Musk at all, but I do think that with so many organizations and so many really intelligent people going and talking about, well, how do we save the species? And that was part of my thing too when I was younger. I thought like, okay, well, like when I first started this business, when I first started the high risk lending business, and I saw like, okay, I can make some real money. Okay, with great power comes great responsibility. Spider-Man. What do I do with that money? And my first thought was like, okay, well, if Elon Musk's trying to take care of the carbon problem, and the carbon problem being that humans are on limited energy, the finite resources. Like, okay, well, go to try to get renewable energies, make like wind, solar, and all that, like what he's doing with cars, electric. And it's like, okay, well, he's taking care of that, and Bill Gates is taking care of vaccinating people. And again, make all the jokes in the comments you want about Bill Gates saying that the world is overpopulated. Please take this vaccine to try to save it. And maybe that's true, because a lot of what Alex Jones had said back in the day, that he was crazy, he probably is, a lot of that came true. And it's just like, oh my God, that is really interesting. Stuff that nobody was talking about. Even like now, not a lot of people are talking about. Some people talking about Jeffrey Epstein just because we're in the pandemic and everyone was watching Netflix. So everyone watched when that came out. He did not kill himself, by the way. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so Bill Gates helped eradicate a disease. So I was thinking, okay, well, if I can go, because I'm not that smart, but I am intelligent enough where I can make money. I know how to read charts. I know how to read people, and I know which way the wind is blowing as far as economics goes. That's what we do very well in Tesla and Pokemon and the high risk lending. So I say, well, if there's a place where Elon Musk is sending his solar panels that overlaps where Bill Gates is sending his vaccines, that means those people would have energy. They would have, they'd be vaccinated, so they immunize. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe if I can make wells, if I can drill wells, so this way, and outfit them with sanitation places, at least those people can now have those things and make a trifecta of things that would help. And suddenly, they're not walking around for miles in the desert at a time, boiling leaves and eating the paste that it makes. what we could do then is we'd be getting millions of people that are not part of the brain network that we have, and what a consequence of that would be that it would give rise to many, many, many more geniuses. I'm talking about, like, even if 1% of, or 0.1% of them are geniuses, 1% would be 10,000. 0.1% would be one, so an extra 1,000 geniuses in the world that's incalculable. That type of knowledge, that type of thing is invaluable. So I'm thinking, if we're able to have something like that, we try to do it. And one of them is going to try to figure out the rest of the problems of the world, because again, I can only do what money can buy in a responsible way. And again, that's in the future. I'm just according to the money that's out there, I have very, very little. So I'm thinking, okay, well, but as the years went on, when it went to 2018, around there, I started doing small donations to, Best Friends Animal Society, Animal Welfare Institute, Project Aware, on the oceans, and the problem shifted more towards, okay, well, humanity will definitely survive, because Elon Musk at that time, SpaceX was not just a smaller company. It started, oh, okay, well, he's going to be successful in Tesla. He's going to be successful in SpaceX. And I started to think, okay, well, if there are aliens out of the, I remember when I ate the thing that Mario likes, mushrooms, the thing that this guy likes. I ate a bunch of those, and then I saw space, and then I figured, okay, well, here's our Milky Way, and then here's Andromeda, and Andromeda's so vast and so big, and that, I was like, okay, well, that's just a small fraction of the universe. And then I saw everything. I was like, we're down here, and I swear I saw other solar systems talking to each other. Like, the solar systems were organisms. They had beings that were controlling entire solar systems, and they were talking to one another. And we don't even have control of our planet. We have controls of bits of pieces of dirt that's on the planet, and that's it. And a lot of people inside that dirt doesn't even like each other. So we, as far as humans race, we are not even a player on the board. So I was like, okay, I had switched to animals for a while, and I still have, because again, I'll get to that. But until that, I was like, wow, I need to really think about how to best help get humans to that next level. Well, the first part would probably be to colonize Mars, or convince everyone in the entire world to just listen to Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds at the same time, and that would be okay. We just love one another, and I think I could do that by just being influential, by saying, okay, well, who is one of the most beloved people on the planet? And you have people like John Lennon. You have people like Steve Irwin, and you have Bob Ross, and people that could do no wrong. And I was like, okay, well, how can I be the brown Steve Irwin and influence a lot of people? And in his interviews, he would say, like, and money, I can't get enough money. I love money, but what use is a gold-plated dummy to me? Nothing. What am I going to do with money? I'm going to buy wilderness areas with it. And it's like, okay, well, that's great. So to continue trying to follow in his footsteps. Well, he had probably tens of millions of dollars, and probably continues to have that. So my goal would be to get that, which I think is very possible with Omi. Again, I've done it with Tesla, not tens of millions of dollars, but again, I started in 2017 after I got out of the military with next to zero money. I had a couple grand to my name, after I left college, and I just started putting into high risk lending deals. And I'm not going to make this finance video, but it's just how I can do that. And if there's other people like me, like-minded like me, well, in order to get anything done, you need money. So I did that, and I 100% believe, like, again, at some point it'll get to the point where, okay, well, you're risking this money that we know this money can help at least this and this problem, but you're risking that money. If you lose, you can't help this and this problem, even though if it works out, you can make a whole big. And I am a gambler. I did learn how to count cards when I was younger, and I love it very much. When I was in the military, I went to the casino minimum once a month. And would just make extra money that way. But what I see is I don't claim to be like an Anakin Skywalker or Qui-Gon Jinn says, like, he could see things before they happen. That's why he appears to have such quick reflexes. No, it's not. But I do see I'm right, and I cannot. Once you see a pattern, you can't unsee the pattern. It's there. It's going to be. Sorry, White Claw drink. Daddy soda. I don't know if I can say White Claw. It's going to be along the lines of a paradigm shift where we're going into that virtual reality place, and it's like, okay, well, you see digital gold, and you see you can get it for very, very cheap right now, and the only reason I'm into it now and not years ago is because I didn't look into it years ago. I was so focused on the business because at that time, you had stock exchange, anything that followed the VOO or the SPY, anything that followed those Fortune 500 companies, they only made between 9 and 11% each year, and then that's historical average. So I was thinking, well, if I could make 30% a year on this high risk lending and be very, very good at it, I'm going to do that. I'm sorry, 24.99% each year. Yeah, so I doubled the stock market. So I keep putting in, and I would do these shorter deals with these construction guys. Like, hey, you're going to get a huge discount because they needed that. Wow, I got a super chat. This is not even a finance video. Oh, Ray Thax, the Daddy Soda. How's it going? How's it going? Thank you so much for that. I haven't kept up with comments at all with this. I'm just going on, so apologies about that, everybody. I'm probably 20 minutes behind on comments, but I would go and I would think, okay, well, this is the type of thing. If I go with construction workers, where again, this is why I don't trust analysts for stocks. This is why I don't trust people when they say oh, this is going to happen based on technical analysis. No, because disruptive technologies do not follow technical analysis at all. Disruptive technologies, they say that you're going to have this, and this happen, but it doesn't. Or the analysts say that because they think they know it. So when I saw banks not give people money because of their credit, and then the credit, well, why is the credit like that? They don't ask that questions. The questions that they ask is what is your credit, and that's it. They don't ask why. So they're asking the wrong questions, and if you're asking the wrong questions, you're not going to get the right answer. Yeah, anyone under 700 credit is not going to get approved for any bank loan, especially for their business. But if you go deeper, and my thought was just to ask, okay, well, why? Why aren't they getting that? And then say, okay, well, this person has a business, and for those of you that don't know, whether it's construction or lawn maintenance or asphalt, they do a job, they don't get paid right away. They don't get paid when it's done. They might get a couple of draws during it, but they don't get paid until sometimes 30, 60, or even 90 days after the job is done. So not only do they have to continue paying their guys, they have to buy materials for the next job because they have work coming in and they don't want to give it away to competition. They want to take it on. So what do? They take what money they have and they pay their workers through that, and they take out credit cards on Home Depot and Lowe's to buy that materials for that next job because they have to. And they're always chasing money. They're waiting for it to come in. It's like these guys have a great business, but their credit's like that because they're over leveraged, because they're taking out credit cards, because they're owed money. So I was like, okay, these guys they have a good business and they're just waiting on checks. So I can get something where if it's 24.5% interest each year, I was like, listen, there are a bunch of these companies out there, sir. I'm just gonna go with asphalt construction, like this guy, let's call him Mike. So Mike, listen, there's going to be I've been in this business a while now. I guarantee you there's going to be a bunch of these companies that say, hey, we'll actually give it to you at, instead of 24.99%, they're going to say the bad credit. They're going to say you have these 30, 60, and 90-day late payments. And I know that. I've seen your bank statement. But I also know why that happens. They're going to try to force this deal down your throat. It's going to be very bad for you. They're going to want you to pay the whole thing, whether you pay back in a year or you pay back in 1 month. But if you go with me, and I had my friend, my good friend Lou, who actually owned the bank, and I was like, listen, we're going to do it so that if you pay off early, you get a huge prepayment discount. You save thousands of dollars on interest, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take that savings and you're going to pass it off to the healthy consumer, those clients that you have, and what you're going to do is you're going to keep taking that money and reinvesting it into the business. And I can keep you well capitalized again and again and again to no avail. And that's how, so when already I don't trust banks. Already I don't trust banks because we have Oh, there's a daddy soda down the drain. Already, I do not trust banks because you have them that just don't care about people. Their rules in general are you need to have a certain amount of money to open this bank account, to keep it open. Why are we doing that? That is such classist. That's racist, because a lot of the people that in this country that are poor happen to be brown and black and just, a minority. So again, there's obviously very poor white people. That's the term, like, white trash comes from. And just, they don't even have to be white trash, just people that just, okay, maybe there's a single mom and she has a couple of kids because the dad died or whatever, or left, whatever have you. Again, not to be like a woke racial video or nothing. Again, it's all bad. Everyone's got problems, but then that's why I invested in Square, years back, because they have this the Cash App. They'll give you a routing and an account number. You can have no money in it, but they'll give that to you, and that is a disruptive industry that's disrupting. I guarantee you, in 10 years, you're going to see a lot of banks close. You're going to see a lot of them lose a lot of customers, all to PayPal and all to Square. The Square's Cash App, PayPal's Venmo, which, by the way, the Venmo and Cash App you can buy Bitcoin and stuff with. So that's why I've been so in on Bitcoin, because I have this paradigm shift where people are again, the technical analysis. They're just, first they fight you, then they ignore you, then they ridicule. All right, no. So first they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they fight you, and then you win. That's what Gandhi said. And again, I don't want this to be a financial. This is just kind of a means to an end. Finance is everything. The means to an end would be to get stuff like this. When I see it, I'm just letting you know that was my reasons for getting into high risk lending, because of the money. And that's why I didn't pay attention to stocks. That's why I didn't pay attention to anything, because I was outperforming the stock market 3x every single year. And I went from, like $2,500 to $100,000 in 2.5 years, which was not easy to do, living in next to a boiler room. And from then I was like, okay, well, now this is real money. So 2020, I had a plan originally of, okay, well, I started this Pokemon business in early 2020, buying and selling cards, because again, I knew what was undervalued. I knew what was overvalued. I knew how to say like, okay, well, I found patterns. Again, once you see a pattern, you can't unsee it. So, a first edition PSA 9 card would sell, or I'm sorry, first edition PSA 10 card, Hollow, would sell for 5 to 8 times what the 9 was selling for. In some extreme cases, you did see that it sold for only 3x of what the 9 sold for, or in extreme cases on the other end, 10x of what the 9 sold for. So, and these only were for first edition WotC Hollows, which is the Coast Hollows, the first, generation there. Well, and second generation as well. I have gold and silver and all that. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is, if anything outlies that, like if a 10 is only going for 1.5 or even double what the 9 is, buy as much as you can. And if the 10 is selling for, 15 or 16, that's happened with Lapras, 16 times what the 9 was, you buy as much as the 9 as you can, because the 9 is going to hatch up. I bought first edition PSA 9 Laprases for like $60 and $70, and within 2-3 months they were selling for $150, $200. Again, this is just the type of thing that you have to recognize with the patterns there. But nobody in Pokemon was really into finance, at least not to the level that I was. So my other plan outside of that, I was kind of following the Elon Musk plan of like, hey, okay, so here's the plan: take money from high risk lending business, open up, put $30,000 into Pokemon business. And then take profits from Pokemon business. And my idea was to make a clothing line for women. It was going to be pants and dresses that had pockets, like usable pockets. Because every single woman that I have ran into either complained about their pants or dresses because it didn't have pockets, or they said like, oh, hey, nice dress, thanks, it has pockets. Like, they were so excited about that. So I was like, okay, well, that could be a really good idea. But I don't know how to sew. Well, I do a little bit, but not well enough. But I knew people that did. I was like, listen, we could start off by just, making like 100 dresses, 100 pairs of pants, whatever, in each different size, because I had the money for that. Funds from this high risk lending, open up Pokemon business. Funds from Pokemon business to buy materials And I was like woke with this. I was like, men and women will get paid the same. And that's the other thing. Hang on to your hats. Before I get into about that, the reason, and I mentioned that before, for the pay gap, which I don't think is actually real, is because women tend to go correctly and smartly and intelligently for what is going to make them happy. Again, women are more interested in people, men are interested in things. But that's where the limits are. Women like, they love babies, and we need women. The society would collapse without women, but we need them. They can only take care of so many humans at once. They can only, like psychiatrists and psychologists, can only see one patient at once. Nurses can only draw blood and run tests for so many patients. But men, when they are studying microchips, can produce them at scale. When they make something, they can produce it at scale. Again, interested in things like engineers. You make a design for one thing and you mass produce it. That's why they make more money. And men do the more dangerous jobs too. You know, men live shorter lives. And again, I think men and women are separate but equal, because again, they're both very, very needed. But my goal, I think, for a lot of this was, again, to help animals. And why I aligned myself with Best Friends Animal Society was because their goal, like their mission, was to not was to take every shelter in the US and make it a no-kill shelter. And I was like, okay, well, that's great. And why is that great? Because there's a subreddit called Dads Who Did Not Want Pets. And what I decided to do, I noticed that. I was like, okay, yeah, I've seen that before as well, even with my own dad and even with my uncle, just personal examples of dads who did not want pets. And they say, like, I'm not having this four-legged freak on the couch. There's gonna be hair everywhere. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And then 2 weeks after they get the pet, you know, the dad and the pet are best friends. They're like, oh, and why is that? Because I feel like men do not. Everyone has one of 5 love languages. You haven't read the book. It's like, it's gifts. It's personal time. It's words of affirmation, or it is physical touch, or something else. And that's with everyone. You know, a lot of what men have to be physical touch, because you know, they like to do it. But they don't get that. I feel like a lot of men, they just, you know, they don't get the words of affirmation, and they don't get that physical touch. They, you know, a lot of them, and I've seen a lot of people I've worked with, you know, they're almost depressed. So it's like, yeah, I'm a bank. You know, the wife, she wants to, you know, bang a personal trainer, and then the kids are like, hey, dad, yeah, you know, they only pay attention to me when, you know, when they need money or they need a ride somewhere. You know, that's all I am. And it's like, well, I really feel bad, because that's, you know, a lot of them are sad, and they're human. So I thought, if I can partner with Best Friends Animal Society, and if they can make every shelter a no-kill shelter, a consequence of that would be that more houses would get pets, and specifically dogs. And dogs, just for anyone that has a dog, you know that they just love you. They just tail wagging. They are so happy just to see you, and they don't want anything in return. And I was like, okay, well, that can be really beneficial for everyone, because, you know, if that happens with men, you know, they get into a household with a man, that'll be really good for the man's mental health, and that'll be really good for women as well, because they'll be better partners, they'll be better husbands. You know, they'll be, again, just hypothesizing there. So I had this whole idea, and I tried to be like woke about it, like, men and women are going to get paid the same for the same position. And then everyone was so excited about it. So that was my big plan. And I was going to use those profits, because I thought that was going to be the biggest at the time. Because again, you can scale it. You can, you know, if I only had a couple people that knew how to sew, can only make a certain amount. Eventually, yeah, you know, after sewing machines, we could get a bunch of other people, buy a bunch more sewing machines. So I was going to take the funds from the business, from the high-risk lending business. I opened up the Pokemon business, which I did, and the funds from the Pokemon business to buy materials and pay workers for the women's clothing line that had pockets. I don't even know what I was going to call it. I have it written down somewhere. And then what I was going to do was take those profits, you know, after, you know, expand, and I maybe go, at first start local, maybe Long Island and New York, then tri-state area, and then, you know, maybe Canada, but most likely sticking in the U.S. and then wherever else. At the time, I had just started my YouTube channel as well. So I go and I say like, okay, well, um, and then 2 weeks later, COVID happened. Literally like less than a month after I started that high risk that I started that Pokemon business, COVID happened. So I was like, what am I going to do? Um, out of the at that time the 150 $160,000 in aging receivables I had, um, I was able to collect 30, 40 grand, 50 grand of it, whatever, because I had I don't know where my orbs went, because I had a bunch of people that said, hey, listen, we're not allowed to work. We still have to pay rent. We haven't been able to work. So we were stopping payments for a little while. We're stopping payments that they didn't have to pay. You know, we gave them a 2 week break because it was supposed to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And then after the 2 weeks to flatten the curve, sorry, um, more daddy soda. After 2 weeks to flatten the curve, like, okay, you know, then it's another 2 weeks. It's like, oh man, now we're getting a month without getting paid. So it's like, okay, well, you know, I put everything. So I was eating MREs. I was just like drinking water. I couldn't go to the gym. So, um, you know, I had a bunch of Johnny Walker Blue that I'd save for special occasions. Like I just need a drink because I had every single client under the sun call and ask me to stop payments, and that they, you know, some people were in really bad shape. It carried on for weeks, and then some people just like, listen, I can't pay. Like I'm not making money. My business isn't allowed to operate, but I'm expected to pay this mortgage. I'm expected to pay rent, you know, whatever. And they're just like, listen, um and I couldn't say anything. I was like, oh, you're, and what I could have done is because they signed what's called confessions of judgment when we first do out the loan. Say like, okay, well, if you walk away from the business or you sell the business, this is a personal guarantee saying that you're personally guaranteeing the loan. And we could have filed them saying like, okay, well, they're not paying back the loan, but okay, well, the government's not letting them operate, and you know they need to feed their families. So it's like, you know, we can't file these, so we didn't. And I'll get to comments in a minute, I swear. So we didn't file those, and then, oh no, the card I'm selling is for, and I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to that in a couple of minutes. Is for well over 300 actually. So we go and I'm thinking about closing down the high. I had less than like $300 between the high risk lending account and the um, and the Pokemon account, and I had, you know, all this inventory. I was like, I was going to close down the high risk lending business. I was just going to go all in with Pokemon, because I knew that as the pandemic continues, like, okay, well, people will be trapped in their houses. They'll probably think collectibles. So I go and I collect what aging receivables I can, and I take a look at the stock market. I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to close up this business anyway, I'll put it all in the stock market, and then whatever. I'll just focus on Pokemon. And I'm thinking, what is going to be the best things? And I look at different things. I look at Uber. I buy the VOO. But then as I get into it, I was like, well, Tesla's really disruptive, and I go deep down the rabbit hole. And even still to this day, I think Tesla's still worth it. If I wasn't buying crypto, if I wasn't buying and anything else, it would all be going into Tesla, because like they're disruptive not just in the ways of electric vehicles, which, because a lot of the world is very left, it is very democratic. So not a first edition Kangaskhan. It is a trophy Kangaskhan. First edition Kangaskhan from Jungle might go for like 5-10 grand, maybe a little higher. But trophy Kangaskhan was only handed out in May of 1998. And again, I'll get to that, I promise. So I go and think like, okay, well, Tesla is not just disruptive in the automotive industry as far as selling electric vehicles, because most of the world is left, is like democratic. They lean liberally, and they're all about green and everything. I was like, okay, well, that is the way the world is turning, and we're going to be moving away from fossil fuels because we have this really bad, which we didn't know was bad at the time. We have this really bad way of living where we take carbon that's in the ground and then we put it in the atmosphere, and that's partly of the cause of global warming. I think a lot of it has to do with methane, which is cow farts. And but again, the world, I got really into global warming and how exactly, what the main cause of it is. And those of you that know me from finance know that I go deep into things, and I'm actually relatively intelligent despite not having physical education. I know that the world before humans, just the world in general is a very old and strange place, and it is something that it's just old and strange, and we don't know 100% how or why things happen, because we have the Earth and our solar system. Here's our sun, and the sun is moving, and we're moving around the sun, and our solar system is moving. We're moving. We're not stationary, like some people would have you believe. So depending on where you are in the universe or in the galaxy, that's where you have you can't tell what is the thing that is making global warming worse. Are humans helping it? Probably not. No. I don't think adding carbon to the atmosphere is helping global warming at all. But I don't think humans are the main cause, because worlds had several ice ages before humans even became on. So anyway, as I was going on beforehand, I forget what I was talking about. I'm going to take another drink, so maybe I'll remember. We go in. Oh yeah, so Tesla. I was like, okay, so we're going to have electric vehicles, and they're disrupting that, but they're also disrupting solar. And somebody asked me the other day about solar, saying that, okay, well, you have these places of people like Germany and Norway that have tried to go green in the past, and it would have worked had they had batteries. But they shut off their coal plants, they shut off their coal burning plants, and they just say, like, we have solar panels and we have wind turbines, that's all we need. And they would have been right had they had a place to store the energy. But the idiots that put that in is like, oh, well, the sun goes down for half the day, and the wind doesn't always blow, so they have to restart the solar, which costs so much more energy than it was turning them off. They're like, this is not worth it. So they kept the coal plants. But Tesla has not only the electric vehicle industry, they have solar as well that they're disrupting in. And if you look at the top 10 corporations or top 15 companies, like the most profitable companies that make the most in the world, they're all energy companies. They're all on gas and oil. And I was like, they don't see it. Nobody sees it. Everyone's looking at, analysts at first were looking at Tesla like just another car company. So they're wrong there, because it's electric car. It's autonomous. It's something that's only going to grow. And then the fact that you have disruption in the energy market, which is by itself going to make every single person their own utility company, because you have the car, you have the solar panels, and you have the power wall, and then they have what's called auto bidder software. And in the auto bidder software, what they have is basically AI to determine, oh, hey, we're storing a lot of electricity, and the cost of electricity is about to go down at this time, at, let's say, 11 o'clock, because that's when less people are using electricity. So the auto bidder software knows the electricity is high at this point, at like 5 or 7 o'clock when people are home. So it will sell the excess, all the electricity in your Tesla, in your Powerwall, and sell it back to the grid at a profit, so that this way the cheap electricity at 10 at night, it's going to take all of that and buy it for pennies on the dollar. And each person is going to become their own a utility company, and nobody's viewing that. They're all focused on just the car. Some people are finally looking at solar, but that's not even it. That's not even the half of it. Then they have insurance, where artificial intelligence, why I bought Lemonade last year, LMND, I think, Lima Mike November Delta, where they are the first company to be able to, they don't have appraisers for insurance. They have artificial intelligence to assess damage, to assess everything. And what they do is they say, like, their business model is, when you sign up with them, what is your favorite charity? And what they do is, with all of their premiums for Lemonade, the stock, 25% they take profit. Everything else, it goes to either paying out claims, or anything that's left over goes to your favorite charity. So they make you give your favorite charity as soon as you sign up. 25% of what you pay them each month, they take. The other 25% goes to paying people's claims, or if it's not used, if you don't claim anything, it goes to your favorite charity. That is genius on a level I've never seen before. And what's happening with Tesla auto insurance is that they have AI to determine Teslas already are the safest vehicles known to man, as per NHTSA the last 3 years. And not only that, but people get in crashes a lot less with Tesla. Why? Because most of them are just better drivers. But outside of that, you can have safety features on, and you can have autopilot on, that full self-driving, at least the beta versions that they have. And most cars crash every 500,000 miles driven. Teslas crash every like 4 million miles driven. So already they're safer. How did Warren Buffett make his fortune? With insurance companies, because you have all this income coming in. You don't have to pay anything unless someone files a claim. And with Teslas, you're never going to have to file a claim because they crash so never often. They never crash. So what they're going to be able to do with that money is they're going to be able to buy more Bitcoin. They're going to be able to buy whatever, put it back into the business, building more factories. So I was like, people are idiotic. And again, maybe that's half of it. The other half of it is autonomous driving, ride-hailing network, where you have things like Uber and Lyft that are going, and they're saying like, hey, they're multi-$100 billion industries, and they have to pay a driver. They have to pay insurance companies. They have to, but Teslas will not. Teslas, you are going to be able to push a button on the Tesla network, and a car that is not being driven by anyone is going to come pick you up and take you to your destination. And there's going to be a bunch of boomers out there that don't like Uber because they don't want to get in a car with a stranger. But there's going to be other companies out there that are going to say like, other boomers aren't going to get into a car without a driver, But there are people, mainly women, that don't feel comfortable in Ubers because why? Because there's a scary brown man in there talking with an accent that is hitting on them. You're not going to have that with Tesla. Why? Because there's no heckin' driver. There's no driver. So, and that's a multi-trillion-dollar industry as well that Tesla's going to get the bulk of. So, what I did was I took all the aging receivables I could. I bought as much Tesla as I could. And my partner, my business partner, Dan, who I love like a brother, he's like, it's too much Tesla. You got to diversify. I was like, no. And I am just like schizophrenic at this point. I was like, people are very underestimating this in so many different ways. And I'm trying to go off and off and off. What I tried to explain to you guys so eloquently, I'm trying to tell him in 5 minutes. And he's like, listen, I think you're working too much. I think you're stressed. I think you're freaking out because you lost like $90,000 because of all these people. It's like, yes, I am, but this is how I fix it. Tesla is stupid, undervalued, and it was. I made a lot of money with Tesla. And then Pokemon started picking up, and then I started being able to collect some future receivables. And some people that started to open up like 25%. Hey, I can pay a little bit. It's like, okay, so I keep this going. And now I'm running 2 different businesses, and I'm trying to do YouTube on top of that. And I'm so crazy stressed. And then I was like, okay, everything I had was going into Tesla. And some into the business as well. And then Pokemon started going really up. Before I had even started the business, I spent 10 grand on this Trophy Kangaskhan card. And this is where we get into the Trophy Kangaskhan. It is a card that was only handed out in May of 1998 in Japan. So this isn't a card that someone says like, oh, I might have that in a binder. I think I got, no. Only handed out, at that time in 2020. It was only handed out 22 years prior. Oh, excuse me. And what I had done was I saw that there's like 40 something graded in the pop report in total, whereas Charizard, the most popular card, first edition PSA 10, just first edition PSA 10 is 121 cards in that pop report. The 9s, thousands. The 8, that there are tens of thousands of Charizard, whether it's first edition, whether it's shadowless, or whether it's unlimited. Unlimited has tens of thousands by itself. So I was like, okay, well, Charizard at that time was worth like, 60 something thousand. When it had, thousand, you can get the same artwork for much less cheap, or for much cheaper, if you just got on the lower grade. But Trophy Kangaskhan, there's only like 40 something in the world in general. So I was like, okay, well, let me go, and I looked into that, and a PSA 4, so it was only one of, I was able to get for $10,000. So I was like, well, this is stupid undervalued. So I got it. And then in like July of that year, as things were starting to revamp back up, I had the opportunity to buy a PSA 10. We agreed on a price of $80,000. Now at that time, PSA 10, the last PSA 10 that had sold privately was for like $10,000 like X amount of years ago. And I knew it. I saw that Pokemon was on the rise because people were staying home. for several months, and what were they doing? They were going into their old stuff. They were paying attention to their pets more, and they're like, oh, my pet is doing this. They hadn't noticed that before because they were at work. So veterinarians made a killing last year, or at least the owners did. Sorry, daddy's on break. So I go and I decide, like, okay, well, what's... I see the writing on the wall. I see it going up. Like, well, if it's going up for normal cards, what's it going to do for trophy cards? So I'm thinking, okay, well, let me go and see what it's going to do for trophy cards. And I tried to do the calculations, and the highest declined offer at that time was like $60,000. So I go to this guy, listen, the highest declined offer is $60,000. I want this deal to get done, but I can't do it right away. I don't have the capital right away. And I said, like, normally, I think $70,000 would be fair. But because I can't pay right away, I will do you the honor. I'll do 80, but let me pay it off in 6 months. And I'll give you whatever down payment you want. I'll sign my name in blood, whatever you need. And because we're both big in the Pokemon community, he said, okay, I'll do it. And we just, guys, on my trophy Kangaskhan PSA 4 that I paid $10,000 for in January, in July, he said, I'll value that at $25,000. And that, with a couple other things, could make your down payment. I said, okay. So I handed it to him in August, made a down payment of that, another card, it's my Grand Party card, PSA 10, and then, like, some more money. So it was close to like $28,000 down payment. And every week or every couple, I started selling my whole collection of the things that I sold for the business. I started selling, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty much selling half my collection, or almost all my collection, for this card. I'm taking money from the high-risk lending business, and I'm paying off this card. And, I sold some Tesla for that card. And what I did was, eventually I got it. After I got, and a few months after that, after we agreed on the $80,000 price point, I tried to get another card. I tried, because another one was going on PWCC, which is a giant auction house. And I raised $100,000 so I could try to get it, because I knew at auction price, yeah, this is gonna go big. But even 2 days before the auction ended, it was already over 100,000. Oh my God! And it wound up reaching 150,000. So already my card appreciated almost double. So I go and I say, like, okay, well, I continue paying it off, and at that point, that morning, a declined offer of $220,000 was declined. Like, oh my God! Oh, thank you guys for 25 likes, by the way. So I get this card where there's only 1 out of 11 in the world. Again, there's 42 that are graded, 11 PSA 10. And this is a card that I think is going to be worth $1 million before 2030. I know it will. Because, again, Pokemon's a young hobby. So I go and I decide, as I'm getting into Bitcoin, last year I wanted to get into Bitcoin when it was $17,000, but I didn't because I had to pay off this Trophy Kangaskhan. And then after I got finished paying it in February, I got the card, made a huge video of it. Then I started getting into Bitcoin as much as I could. I wasn't even doing the high-risk lending business. I was still working that business, but I was collecting receivables and putting it into Bitcoin. And then in December of 2020, I found Earth 2, and I was like, oh, this is, again, big other disruptive technologies. Bitcoin is disrupting currency, and Earth 2 is disrupting everything. That's virtual real estate. That's virtual reality. That's something from playing video games I know is a disruptive technology. That's where video games are going. And it's like, okay, well, that's... I could continue to do this high-risk lending and only make 30% a year, but from the gains I've seen in Tesla and what I know with this, I know Earth 2 is going to be to the moon. Because, again, I know video games. I know video games. I am... that's something where I thought, like, okay, this is... I can take all my money and put in there. So I put... Not all of it. I put, like, maybe, 10... Like, at this point, 11 to 12 grand into it. And I go and I say, like, okay, well, this is something that, again, I can quintuple, I can 10x my money, and now I'm pretty sure I can 100x my money that I put in there because of how disruptive it is. So through the Earth 2 scenario, through the Earth 2 place, I go and I find Omi, and it's like, Omi is so undervalued, and if I had seen it at a penny, I would have bought it at a penny. But I didn't see it until after it dipped, until it went down to 0.8 of a penny, 7 tenths of a penny. So I bought there. And had I bought it at a penny, I would not have felt bad. Even now, it reached like 0.0042 or 41 before, which by the way, I bought more for. And again, I don't want this to be a finance video. It's supposed to be weird stuff. How to help the world, how to help humanity. Because again, when I took what Mario eats, what does he eat all the time? I took a bunch of those, and I saw that humans aren't even a player on the board. So I decided, like, how can I help humans? The best way to help humans and help animals is to help animals. And how do I help animals? Raise a lot of money. And this is what I was doing. I was going and I was saying, okay, well, how much battery do I have left? I was out for a while. Okay, 48% battery. We're good for a while. I go and I say, like, hey, this is something where Omi, I can, this could 100x very easily. This is untapped potential. Like the same way I was talking about people in Africa and India that don't have, water and everything. If we take all of that untapped brain potential, a consequence of that is going to be to go and give rise to 1,000 more geniuses. But then Elon Musk came up with Starlink, and he's like, okay, well, I'm just going to give everyone free internet. So I was like, okay, well, free internet, yeah. They're going to be able to be okay without me. And that's why I focused on animals fully. So I go and I say, like, well, now that we have a different chance to make more money and a different chance to go and say, hey, this is something we could really help the world out with animals. And I'm not even talking about a couple $1 million. I'm talking about Earth 2 and Omi helping me generate tens of millions of dollars, not in the first few years, not even in the first decade. I mean, by the 2030s, when I'm in my 40s, I could be worth tens of millions of dollars just because of the fact that, again, Tesla helped me make money, and that car that I paid $80,000, which everyone was telling me, hey, even in the Pokemon industry, that's too much. You could have probably gotten that for 10 grand cheaper, 15 grand cheaper. Worked out a deal with someone with some trade-in value, and I was like, listen, I did what I had to do to get that card because I was way undervalued. Within a few months, that went to 150, and went to two. I declined to offer for 220. Happened after the day I got it, so it almost 3x'd in the time that I had, from the time I made the deal to the time I got it. And that card, like I said, will be worth $1 million before 2030. But right now there are 4 of them on eBay. 3 of them are not mine, and the 3 of them that are not mine are listed at 500,000, 490,000. I'm sorry, 495, and then 484,000. And mine is the cheapest, listed at 420,069. So $420,069, because I had to make it a meme. And I knew that, and I did get a bite on it. So me and this person, we went back and forth, and we landed on a price of $350, which I think is very undervalued. Everyone else that has it, I'm in contact with all of them that have it on eBay. They will not sell for under $400,000. The only reason why I'm selling this card that I killed myself last year to get is so I can buy more Omi, so I can buy more Bitcoin, and I can invest heavily into Earth 2. Because yes, I believe this card is undervalued right now. It'll be worth over $1 million before 2030, and I'm getting it because Omi and Bitcoin and Earth 2 are going to increase that much more, like so much more. Like, I'm not even talking about, oh yeah, this card is going to 3x and these coins are going to 5x. No, I'm talking about in that same time frame. Bitcoin not so much. Bitcoin might 20x by 2030. It might go to over. It'll definitely be $1 million a coin, by 2030, probably over. But I also think, thank you for 30 likes, by the way. But it'll definitely be with Omi and Earth 2. Again, Earth 2 we don't know because there's many different facets of Earth 2. Omi is very, very simply, let's say at 0.6 or 0.6 of a penny, it is $1 billion market cap, which is nothing considering this is $1 trillion industry that they're at the forefront of, multi-trillion dollar industry they're at the forefront of. You're probably looking at, $10 billion company, which is nothing, as the giant companies we're talking about, is only 6 cents, per Omi, and that's what the Omi that is right now. That's not including if the Omi gets burned continuously. But we have a big drop tomorrow. Not even a big drop. We just have a drop tomorrow where it's going to sell out. There's going to be a bunch of those, the rares, super rares, secret rares, and then there's 15 different of them. There's going to be a lot of them. So you're going to have these NFTs that aren't dropping, like at a penny per gem, 1 penny per gem. I'm sorry, if one gem is $1, and if it was 1 cent, 1 cent per Omi. If it was 1 cent per Omi, you'd be burning 100 Omis every dollar that's spent, and these things are 50 Omis each. But you're not doing that. Now it's worth 0.005, it's half a penny. So now they're burning 200 Omis for every gem that's spent. So this is perfect timing. This is great. This is the best thing that could happen. The fact that it goes down is really good because now you're burning a lot more Omi, and after you're burning a lot more Omi, you're gonna have it's gonna be worth a lot more. But people aren't seeing that right now. People are sleeping on it. There's a bunch of stupid people that are. I'm gonna get another one. BRB. I don't want to switch to whiskey, so I got another daddy soda here. But yeah, people aren't looking at it. People are just saying, there are a lot of short-term people and saying like, hey, I bought at 0.6 cents. It's not looking good. It's down to 0.005, and they're really stupid because they're letting it go way too early. They're short-term. They're like these bankers. They're like these investors that have invested in the stock market that are only worried about the last 3 months, the last quarter. They're not thinking long-term. Long-term, it's going to be big. Again, 6 cents is nothing. That's only a $10 billion market cap, and that's if it stays at the current level of Omi. And we're not even on any exchanges right now. The exchanges we're on is nothing. Like people can't buy. So we're looking at if it gets to 60 cents, that's $100 billion, which I think can go very quickly because you have Bitcoin that went to $1 trillion in 12 years. That's the fastest that it's ever gone. That's any company's ever gone. Whether it's Microsoft, Tesla's not even there yet. They're only at they were only at like $700 billion, give or take. So you have these companies that are really disruptive. The world is changing really, really quickly. So, and if the world's changing really quickly, you can't quantify how fast. Because in 2013, 2017, when we had those bear markets, those crypto winters, you didn't have big institutional investing. You didn't have people like Fidelity saying that we don't care about Bitcoin, but we're going to offer it to our high-end clients. You didn't have that. You didn't have a MicroStrategy and Grayscale and Tesla putting it on their balance sheet. That hasn't happened before. So everyone's saying like, hey, this is cyclical just based on the charts, what's happened. You can't do that. They're the same people that focused on Tesla that were told to analyze Tesla and say it's a car company. They don't realize it. But I do. I've seen it before. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say at $100 billion, it won't take them that long, which should only be 60 cents. So I think they could do it by 2023. That should be the trajectory because right now you can't do it. Hang on one sec, guys. Right now they can't do it because they can't buy. People don't want to buy. Maybe it's because of race. They don't like Chinese companies, but they it's very, very early. But that's just with Omi. Earth 2 is something completely different. You have the crypto that hasn't even been announced yet. There's hundreds of thousands of people waiting to buy that crypto. They're waiting for phase 2. And once phase 2 happens and you're able to build, and you're going to have all these corporations saying, hey, we're home now, we're virtual, and we're looking for places to go, and we're looking for places to go and say, hey, we need to have this virtual meeting in someplace nice. We're tired of looking at normal people's backgrounds. So you have people that building aquariums, or people that build, fire and brimstone, or the White Tree of Gondor. They're going to be really huge. They're going to make a lot of money, and I don't think I would do that because I don't have. Everyone else is expecting, what they want. They want like penguin racing and snowball fights. So I'll be able to have that in for Chaveztopia, but it's not for big corporations. It's just for the people. In some other places, maybe a place I have like in China or South Africa, I'm going to go and build that there. Just have another stream of revenue, just so I can buy more tiles. But eventually, you won't be able to buy any more tiles. That's the other thing. So you have with Earth 2, you not only have the crypto. You have being able to rent out your property, and you also have the fact that tiles are finite. There's going to be a certain amount of tiles that we can buy, and that is it. That's it. We're not going to be able to buy anymore. And I promise this wasn't going to be a financial video, but it is now. So you have 3 different streams of revenue, and that's not even including the warring world. The warring world, you're going to have a bunch of places which, low key, I want to have a giant thing of tiles similar to the Cell games. If anyone's seen Dragon Ball Z, we're going to have the Cell games there. We're going to have fighting tournaments. I told everyone in Earth 2, I'll fight him in real life. We'll make it a charity event. I'll beat anyone, and we're gonna have that in the Earth 2 arena. I want to be able to have a cell game so you can fight whether you're avatars or cross collection from VV going to your NFTs. That would be really cool too. That'd be exciting. It's been an hour. I've been talking so much. I haven't even gone over comments. I'm like 58 minutes behind on comments. I'm not going to read comments unless someone super chats. I'm sorry. So we go and we see these. And I'm sorry. I'm not ignoring you. I try not to. I get probably I get maybe about 800 or 900 messages a day. Not that's including comments on Facebook. Not including comments on the live. So I bought more Omi today as well. So Earth 2, you have Omi. You have potentially 2 ways of making money. Or 3 ways. You have the Omi coin, you have the NFTs that you can flip, and then you have the NFTs you're gonna be able to rent out. But for Earth 2, you're gonna have the coin. It's gonna be bananas. You're gonna have the tiles that you can flip. You'd have the properties that you can rent out. You have the resources that you can sell, and then you're going to be able to have the Warring World, and not only that, but it's just the foot traffic. So you have so many more different ways of making revenue in Earth 2. And I feel bad. I only have 20,000 tiles. Everyone else that's really big in this, like Aria Realty and Nameless and Tech Ops from Guidebook Gaming. I think Bowl Combo and British Guy Dorkslayer also. They have hundreds of thousands of tiles. So I have to make the best with what I have. I need to buy more. I bought some more in Chavez Topia. So that's the idea. Because with all this money, you could really help the world. And outside of that, outside of helping the world, you're going to be able to go and again, I want to be remembered. I want to be like the Brown Steve Irwin. I also used to private investigate back in the day, so I want to be like the Brown Bruce Wayne. But because I haven't had really a gym, I mean, I still lift weights, but I haven't had a boxing gym for a while, so my reflexes are soft. And I'm 30 now, not my 20s anymore. So it's pretty fun. But outside of that, oh yeah, we're getting into some weird stuff. So okay, so I think we're also in a simulation, in the same way that we've seen, let's say like The Sims, and in The Sims you have. People that you could. Adventure Time did a really weird, but really good episode. If anyone that hasn't seen Adventure Time, it's Jake and Finn. They're a person and a dog. They go on adventures. But there's this one time where they get control of all their friends are dolls. All their friends are action figures, and it is a really good episode and a really weird allegory and metaphor for how much power should you have? How much power should one person have? Because they're like, oh, QC. It's like when you're in a video game, let's say Fire Emblem, and you make it so that 2 people that are battling next to each other, they have lovey kisses, and even if their pairment, let's say like Sully should pair with a paladin, and they would make great babies, and they love each other, but no, you want Sully to be with your guy because whatever, you're manipulating them. You're not going based on who has the most attraction to each other. You're just basing on them like who you want to go together, and that's a very big. Humans shouldn't have that much power, but they do in The Sims. In The Sims, people are very, very, very dark and tragic. They're just like, yeah, let me make a maze around this guy's house, so it takes them 9 hours to get through the maze to his car, and by that time, work is over, so it takes him 9 hours to go back into his house, and then he's trying to sleep for 2 hours. Oh, he's got to get to work, and then so it's people are very, very not, they're very mean, and I think we're a simulation because I was born very, very lucky. I was born in Peru. I was born in someone's like living room. There was no roof on the house, but I won the lottery essentially and was adopted out of there. And the adoption was not an easy process. If it was me trying to get a baby out of there, I would have used my military connections and gotten that kid out of there. But the people that adopted me were very not military at all, and they had to go through mountains and they had to go through different crazy things. Like, for all intents and purposes, this should not have happened. I should not have been an American, but I was, and I fought for my country, and as out of that, a bunch of military stories as well. I think there's going to be a I think there's people, and we're avatars, and because if you try to go and clear your mind, so if you try to clear your mind and say, okay, well, I'm not going to think about anything, I'm going to relax, and then you think, oh, puppies, oh, Sprite, like who puts that idea in your mind? Who puts the idea in your mind of puppies and Sprite? Like, you didn't put that there, it's just what you thought. So I think there's avatars, or there's people, and we're the avatars, and they're putting that in. That's why I also think that I like different characters, like writers like Spock, who's very logical, and Vision from Age of Ultron, Vision from the MCU, because they're not human, they're artificial intelligence. Yes, I won the lottery, and then I was also gifted, so I think the person controlling me, if this is a game, they put all of their eggs in one basket, and it was luck, and maybe a little bit into intelligence, because I'm not. I didn't do that well in school, because if anyone knows, there's things called the ACTs and the SATs, and the ACTs were curriculum based, but the SATs were not curriculum based. They were just an average intelligence marker of how well you do. And I did very well in the SATs. I got like 1,200 something out of 1,600. I'm not like a genius or anything, but even in the military, you have to have an IQ of 83 or above, because they found out in the 40s, or it was World War One. One of the world wars, they found out that you do not have if you have under an 83 IQ, it is impossible to teach you a job that isn't counterproductive. Like, they would spend more money and time on you than it was worth. So if you don't have an 83 IQ, you can't get into the military. Also, it's harder to get into the military than it is to get into college, because you have college, you could just pay to get in. You could have Down syndrome and get in college. You could have allergies and be fat and get into college, but you can't do that in the military. Military, you have to be in shape, or your waist has to be a certain, and yeah, you have to run. You have to have good eyesight, which I had very good eyesight until I boxed, and then I boxed, I lost I didn't lose my eyesight, but it's not as good anymore. And I had very good hearing too. I had extraordinary hearing, but I didn't have, I worked around aircraft for 4 years, so I'm hearing shot now. But yeah, so I think the person controlling me, or controlling my avatar, put everything into luck and some into intelligence, because I keep finding I have enough intelligence to be able to look at things and see the future of it. But really, it's more luck that I was able to find those things in the first place. Outside of that, we have what I want. Again, if when I took what Mario eats, when I took that, if we're not even a player on the board, a lot of people, there's some famous quotes that say, why you can judge the people, which you shouldn't judge. I think in how to win friends and influence people, they say that God himself does not judge a person until they die, so why should you? But there's a famous, I don't know if it's Gandhi, saying you can judge the people of a country based on how they treat their animals. And I was like, okay, well, if I can go, let's say there is an afterlife, like is there really life after death? Will there be like a merciless executioner, a ruthless jury, or will you be welcomed unconditionally for like the hell you've already endured? Like the questions are endless and nothing certain. But I'd like to think, if there is a place we go after this, you say like, okay, well, I'd like to be a good person here, but just because it's the right thing to do. Also, again, helping animals that, the animals have never done anything wrong. They're just abiding by the rules of nature, and we, as humans, we go into their territory a lot. So trying to save, there's so many people working on humans. I like to work on animals a lot. That's why I joined the veterinary field. When I was like 13, I started volunteering. 14, I got a job, and excuse me. What I did was just I wanted to be a veterinarian, and then I found out you have a lot of schools, a lot of school that has to happen. I see the comments blowing up, so I'm gonna try to Again, I'm more than an hour behind on comments, so I'm just gonna read the last few. I'm vegan. I think it's the best way to go for animal welfare. Alessandra says, "Will you be my online boyfriend?" The reason is just don't eat them. Again, there's too many comments, so I'm just gonna keep talking because this is just weird Randy Chavez stuff. So I saw the movie The Fourth Kind recently, and The Fourth Kind is something where you have these people in Nome, Alaska. Nome, Gnome. So Golf, November, Oscar, Mike, Echo, and and I looked into it. There were a lot of disappearances there in the late '90s and early to mid 2000s. And the movie goes where there's this psychologist, and they have a she has a couple of patients that are all experiencing the same thing, have nightmares, and in the nightmares they see an owl outside their window. And when she puts them under hypnosis, they realize that it's not an owl. It's someone speaking some language that they've never heard of, and it's a outside of the language that they've never heard of. They have these weird, crazy nightmares, and they get really depressed. And one person even kills himself. And you see the footage from the cops, and oh my God, it is a crazy movie. It is a crazy time, and saying that, okay, well, the language that they're speaking, and he goes to this professor saying, like, no, this language that we've been speaking is a language that's older than the Egyptian hieroglyphics. What is that doing? What is the person doing this to these people speaking that? And they hypothesize it's aliens, and then they go through this whole thing. It's really crazy. But yeah, I think aliens. Right now, again, you have that Ancient Aliens show on History Channel. I think it's something where you have you're really intrigued, or I'm really intrigued by it because, the same way that it's illegal to sell human organs, right? It's illegal to sell human organs because it is. Which, by the way, if the Purge, those movies, if that ever happened, I'm going to all the dead bodies and I'm harvesting organs because I'm going to make millions that night. Anyway, but it's not illegal to sell animal organs. So what people have tried to do is they've had animal organs. When pigs are pregnant, they inject human cells into the pig embryo, the pig fetuses. And what that does is that when those pig fetuses become actual pigs and get older, their organs, because pigs are very similar to us genetically, those pigs' organs are going to be compatible with human organs. So, well, you're not selling human organs, you're selling pig organs. Okay, well, that's worth it. And even before then, pig ventricles were given to patients that had heart issues, because pig ventricles, you could do a plastic one, but plastic ventricles, the type of antibiotics you have to, or the type of medicine you have to use with that, it could lead to infertility. So a lot of people, especially women, don't use that. But pig organs were very compatible. They just wear down really quickly. So you had to have heart surgery every 10 years. But so they've been doing that for years. But actual whole pig hearts that were compatible with humans, that's what they did. And even recently, NPR had a thing, had an online article that said, okay, well, we're going to have, they've successfully made monkey embryos, and the macaques actually, they've made actual embryos of human monkey embryos. And well, it goes into ethics. Well, what do you do? Because in the 40s, you had Russia try to go and impregnate human women with gorilla, like silverback, actual DNA, and most of the pregnancies failed. One of them took, but miscarriage in the first trimester. So it was very very interesting to see that not work. And as that didn't work, eventually Russia and the war was over. So they've been trying this for 70 odd years, but they haven't. Almost 80 years now. 80 years now, but they haven't done it yet. But they've done it recently with macaques, where they've had human macaque embryo hybrids. Well, okay, you can use that for certain organs, but what if that human macaque hybrid is sentient? What if they're not just part macaque with human working organs? what if they are macaques with human genitals, and they breed with each other, and then they have a human baby? Like, that's what that goes into us playing God. So that's why I think we're a simulation, because mathematically it makes sense, and mathematically, if you have sinkholes that happen, okay, well, it's an error in the code. Or what happens if I know I had a certain amount of socks going into this load of laundry, and now a sock is missing. Well, I think that's a glitch in the matrix. There's many people say with all these stories saying that, yeah, I had this, I was following this car, and this car went that way, and then another car was coming this way. I wait for this car to go. And as soon as I turn on, I should have seen that car, because it's a straight line for a mile, no turn off, and the car was gone. So there's a lot of people going and saying, like, hey, there's these different things that they can't explain. They can't explain it, the fact that, hey, me and my boyfriend, we were on the bed, we were just talking, and then suddenly we wake up and it's the next day at like 3 in the afternoon, and it's like, we didn't just sleep for 17 hours, we weren't tired, we just, something very fishy about that. Is it aliens? Is it glitches in the matrix? I don't know. What was the last couple comments saying? Zelio says, according to the Bible, God created everything by speaking it into existence. Sounds a lot like what humans do with coding in order to create something within the computer screen. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, again, computer code is very interesting, because if you have what is DNA and RNA, it's computer code, and if you can change it enough, or you can hack it, like that's what Neuralink's supposed to do with Elon Musk. It's supposed to be able to take these DNA strands and code it. Because, like, what do you have with telomeres? Telomeres at the end are strands at the end of your DNA. At the end of your DNA, you have these strands called telomeres. And as you age, they get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then once they get to nothing and there are no more telomeres, then the DNA can't replicate itself, no matter how much magnesium you take, because magnesium is used in DNA replication, and folic acid is used in DNA repairing. Doesn't matter how much that you use, that's when you die. But it's, Dr. Rhonda Patrick said the studies show that when you take a bunch of vitamin D, those telomeres do not decrease as much. Like, if you have two sets of twins, or one set of twins, one person doesn't take vitamin D, their telomeres go from here to here. The person that does take vitamin D go from here to here, over the course of 10 years. So vitamin D definitely extends life. As long as you could extend those telomeres, keep on DNA. Isothiocyanates too, from broccoli sprouts and Brussels sprouts. They're really good isothiocyanates for you. And there's also people that have that gene, that the supercentenarian gene, which is really good. So just more of the comments. I'm going to go back a little bit. Wow, you guys really went hard with it. With these comments. Once I have enough OMI, I may get some E2. Yeah, same. And OMI, I think, is going to be one of those generational things where, if you're already 50, maybe you don't invest. Maybe you invest in OMI for short term, 5-10 years. But for me, I would invest in it for. I don't think I'll sell, because I think at this point I'm going to have different. With YouTube getting bigger, I gain subscribers each day. I'm up to 2,850. I should be up to 2,900 hopefully by next week. And Aria Realty comes out with videos once every week or 2 weeks or so, and I'm streaming every day, and I'm doing different things. I do a stream in the morning and at night for finance, and then I stream during the day now, because you asked for it, for just Chavez. So between the views and the super chats, I think I should be able to go and continuously invest in OMI, and like I said, try to save and change the world. And this is something where, like I said, I'm a little bit vain. I'm a little bit, I want to be remembered. I want to have people say, yeah, this Randy Chavez really helped me out. He's the reason that we have this house, that we'll have 2 houses, that you're able to go to college and it's all paid for, and a wedding and grad school, and a divorce and another wedding if you want. Changing lives is really something that gives me the best motivation. So maybe there is no selfless good deed, because if you feel good about it at the end of it, even if it costs you money and time. But yeah, OMI like I said, Omi, it's not outside of the realm of possibility. Like I said, $10 billion, a $10 billion company, which is nothing, would be 6 cents. So $100 billion at 60 cents. That's it. That's if the amount of Omi stays the same, and that would be, yeah, I could definitely see that. But in just a couple of years, because it's going to go through the roof. Disruptive industries do this a lot. So I'm gonna go now, unless anyone has any other comments. Let's see what we have. If you want, actually, I'll do a Q&A now. So answer comments, and I'll totally look at all of them. UFO experiences, yeah. Actually, no. The other ghost story I had, which I guess I'll go through that, was in 2014. I was in the Air Force, and my friend Patrick was he had loaned me his cat, but he was deployed, so I was taking care of his cat. And I had to go stop by the dorms where I was living at first to pick something up. And I'm in the parking lot, and you know how, like, at night when you're scrolling through Facebook or whatever, you see the reflection in the window. So I saw the reflection in the window. I was like, okay, it's just the reflection. But then it got brighter and I got closer. I was like, what is that? And then, maybe 20 yards away, there was a dumpster, and there was a little girl beside this dumpster. I was like, okay, well, this isn't the part on base where, you have families, because they had a small part for officers. Like, but there's this girl. She was like, I don't know, 8, 10 years old. She looked like Sabrina from Pokemon, not the gym leader, but when she was a kid. She had this white dress on with like a sunflower hat. She was looking down, and I was like, the fudge. So I go into, I turn off the car, and I turn off the cell phone, and I get out of the car, and then she's gone, and I was like, what? Okay, so maybe she went behind the dumpster. So I go behind the dumpster, like, hey, are you okay? Is your mom and dad around? And then I get around the dumpster, and she's not there. Like, she's not there. And the only place that she could hide outside of the dumpster was a building another 30 yards away. But I didn't see her. No way she did that. It's impossible. So I look in the dumpster. I look so confused. Like, what just happened? And then my friend Shrek, her name's Shrek, or she was Shrek before she became Hauser, that dude she married. She comes down the stairs like, Chavez, you all right? I was like, and I told her the story. She's like, whoa. I was like, yeah. So we looked for this girl in all these different places. There was no one. Called my friend at security force. Was like, hey, this girl, no mom and dad around. And she's like, okay, well, we'll look into it. But nothing ever came from that. But UFOs, no, I don't think so. Yeah, not for UFOs, I don't think. Also, Teresa T, where do you live? As far as state or part of the world. Wow, it's interesting. Is 40K Omi a good amount? Well, it depends on how long you're going to view it for, or how long you're going to hold it for, hodl, and how much you're going to, how much you think that would make you a good life. Or do you have debt? Do you have something? If you're looking to just pay off debt, yeah, hold it for 5 years. You have 30, 40K. Pay it off. If you're looking for like life-changing money, hodl for 10, 15 years. I don't know how old you are, but let's say you're 40 right now. At 55, and a lot of people retire. Yeah, what does that, 40K Omi? Let's say it's $3 to $5, and you have 120 to to $200,000. So yeah, that's probably a good amount. If you, again, life-changing money. Linux says, you're scaring me with these stories. I'm so sorry. So sorry, Linux. Scary though. Oh, Portugal. All right. Yeah, I was actually in the Azores a couple of years ago. My friend Mike Castle is one of my master sergeants when I was in the military. I have another one for you, Linux. Sorry about the scariness. But me and my friend Mike, when I was in Portugal, was like, "Are you sober?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay." So I was driving, and he was chugging beers in the car, because apparently in Portugal, or at least in Azores, as long as the person who's driving is sober, everyone else in the car can get messed up. I was like, "Oh, okay." So my other one was in 2016. I was in Kuwait. My friend Sergeant Frempong from Africa. He said, like, yeah, like when he was going from the tents down to where we work, the tents, and he goes, and there's someone with a uniform he hadn't seen before, and it was almost like Get Out, or I don't know if you've seen Get Out. This guy's running, as a gardener. This guy's walking in like almost a march stance, and he's walking towards him, and he wasn't sure if he was an officer or not, so he saluted. Because when you're in the military and you're not sure if they're an officer, when in doubt, whip it out. You whip out that salute. So we saluted, and the guy just kept walking. Like, that's weird. So he just keeps going. He's going. It's like, maybe I should talk to that guy. Like, see where he's from. Because in Kuwait and Ali Salam, you have a bunch of different people there. You have Norwegians. You have the Israeli Defense Forces. Sometimes Saudi Arabia's there. Either way, he goes to turn around, and the dude's gone. He's like, what did I just see? And someone that was working with us, he said, describe the uniform. He describes the uniform, and he was there 20-something years ago during Operation Desert Storm. That's where it happened. And he's like, I know that uniform. That was the uniform from Desert Storm. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, and it wasn't from our side. It was from another side. And I was like, yep, that's we saw a bunch of stuff, and it was probably a ghost. It was someone that just stayed there. Like my mom, who is very, very like no fun at all, like zero fun. Like, am I, Turk in Remember the Titans? Football is zero. She is zero fun. She said that she used to work at White Castle, one of the places that you had for White Castle, you had the actual castles, and you had the offices. The offices where they went over inventory. Oh, this person, this White Castle did $80,000 in inventory this week or this month or whatever, and they need to buy stuff, whatever. She does crunches numbers, and she had reports of people that are not working there. A lot of people quitting. So they got a district manager of one of the White Castles in the area to go in and say, like, okay, we've had people quitting, and we just want to find out why. And the report was like, well, there's these people that here, thank you for 35 likes, that work in the front office, that work in the it's not in the front office, that work register or whatever. They're like, hey, go grab buns, go grab something from the basement. And it happened while the manager was there. They're like, yeah, ma'am, someone was in the basement, and it just looked a little weird. He just looked scary. He looked like it wasn't even our uniform. It was an old uniform, probably. I just didn't get it. And she's like, well, there's no one else working here. Like, everyone who clocked in, everyone, whatever. And it was only like 5-6 years ago, whatever. And then she goes down there, and there was no one there. And she's like, what did the uniform look like? And she said, this, and this. And like, well, that's a uniform from 10 years ago. We had, that place had gotten new uniforms X amount of years ago. And it was a person, happened to be a Chinese guy, that loved White Castle and said he wanted to work there until the day he died. What happened was these people were seeing somebody else that had worked there and had died, but his ghost is still working there. That's very similar to Pokemon, where in Pokemon Yellow, Blue, and Red, in that game you see Machoke stomping out ground in Vermilion City, the same city that Lieutenant Surge is in, the same city that you have the SS Anne in, and Dicklet's Cave. And then in the second generation, in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, you see that place is still empty. Well, why was that there in the beginning? Well, you have Giovanni go in and say that, okay, well, this is something where he wanted to build a radio tower because it had worked out so well in Johto, because you have the radio tower in Johto in second generation. And then he's like, okay, well, we can build another radio tower in Kanto. Not in Vermilion City, but they wanted to do it in Lavender Town. Lavender Town is where that place goes where, they don't have a Pokemon gym. They don't have a giant supermart like they had in Celadon, just one town over. They had a free Pokemon grave. So they were not a rich town by any means. They wanted to have a radio tower there, but they had to build it in place of where the grave was. So Giovanni, the person behind it, says, and he's very superstitious, let me move it to Vermilion City. So he hired these people, a construction company that used Machops that could lift very heavy things. The ghost did not like that one bit. The ghost started attacking the Machops, whose physical attacks had no effect on the ghosts, and they started dying. And then in the gold version, you see that every once in a while, someone from Kanto, he sees a man and his machop flattening the ground, but it's really not there. It's really a construction project that never finished, called the Vermilion City Construction Project. So moving on. Vives M. Portugal. I do not live in Portugal. I just visited there for a time. Bait Maximo says, I'm 23. Why? I don't know what the Y means. Drew said, never been to Azores. Yeah, it's pretty fun. John Dory says, I was working in Misani Hotel in Kuwait in 2012. Oh my God, so cool. I wasn't there until 2016, but that's cool you were there at that time. Teresa's 26. Bait Maximo says, Trabalhas MK. Teresa, does that say where you work? Like, where do you work? And what part do you work? Oh, you work in design. We should write in English. Yeah, we should, because I don't really understand Spanish too well. So moving on to some more questions that people had from the past. We got La Sombra says, Randy, will you be my online boyfriend? Sure, La Sombra. La Sombra, well, that's feminine. Are you a girl? How many guys and girls do I have here? Comment down below. Isaac Smile says, I'm vegan. I think that's what's the best way to go for animal welfare. Yeah, I think the most things that we're really undervaluing now is fishing. We're really overfishing a lot, and it's really not good because that's for everyone. Yeah, that affects everything is fishing. Oh, what's up, Roby1 Kenobi? C says, yes, I won the lottery. Oscar Schreier says, but if OMI founders have 75 billion coins, how can it grow to $1 US? I don't think that will happen. 10x is still possible, but no more than that. No, you misunderstand. Yeah, they might have 75 billion OMI right now, but going to $1 is not impossible at all because you have these different people going on. You have this OMI being burned, and they're only going to liquidate a small amount. So they have 75 billion that they're not selling. What's available is what's really the market cap. So a lot of people are viewing it wrong. They view the market cap as all the OMI in there. But 340 billion OMI already aren't available because it's in the reserve wallet and that's in the vault. So that's why that's happening. People just are misviewing it wrong. What says, should I strive for 1 million OMI or 2 million? Well, shoot for the stars and you land on the moon. So get as much as you can and then go from there. Oscar Charles says, find my own GIF graphic showing company logo is first good thing. Keep at it. Isaac Smile says, once I have enough OMI, I may get some E2. Very, very good. Can't wait for legit Pokemon NFTs. Yeah, so NFTs are definitely the future. And Pokemon ones, again, they're going to be a limited amount. And a limited amount right now, we only have 250,000 users with VV. But with those other ones, with once we have 10 million people on, once we have a bunch of millions of people, yeah, those things, those NFTs that are only one of 1,000 or one of 5,000, they're going to go like that because you don't have to worry about it like Pokemon. You do, okay, we have to store this in a certain way and have to do whatever. You don't have to worry about it being damaged. The NFTs you could drop your phone in a fire and it'll be fine. Yeah, I have about 5 million OMI. Now, after today, I should have about like 5.25 million OMI. Isaac saying hit the like button if you haven't, ladies and gentlemen. Eric TV says, are you going to the Vive drop tomorrow? Yeah, I'm going to try to get, I don't even know what time it is, but I'm going to try to get it. La Sombra, I'll come over for dinner whenever you want. Where do you live? So, hey, everyone. Again, I'm sorry I haven't gone in these comments at all. Oh, it's not Spanish, it's Portuguese. Again, I'm even less, I have less of that. Put in a bid for my first NFT. Again, guys, I'm going to be going live again at 10:15-ish, and that's going to be a financial video. So I love you all. Comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much, Raythax, for that super chat. I love you. Comment, like, and subscribe. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. I have to pee. Bye-bye, Dashi. I love you guys. Goodbye. Meow.